Hello, I'm Sierra and this is Let's Talk About It. So today is going to be a part 2 from last week's episode of the story about how I met my dad. Again, this new background, I know we looking all professional out here, you know, it's okay. So basically first week I talked about how I actually met my dad, like that whole day, and like just kind of my thought processes that I've had during that time. And that was about a year ago. So now I'm going to be talking about the last year. Again, I probably won't be sharing everything just because this is a very personal topic. The first week was crazy. I mean, I felt like I was talking to him all the time because I was just dying to know things. But then I feel like we hit a roadblock, which is, you know, hard. When it's like, you know, in the first seconds you meet, you want to know everything about each other. I'm a very deep person. I think he might be like that too, but it wasn't happening the way that I was like thinking it was going to happen. I was kind of having a hard time with going deeper and like really getting to the nitty-gritty and like moving forward together. And I mean, there's a lot of emotional things that go into this. There's a lot of spiritual things that go into this. And I don't think anybody can be ready for something like this. And one thing I would say a lot, which I do regret saying it, I think it was just a way for me to say, I don't know what I'm doing, is I would say, I have no expectation. I think it would bother him that I would say that. To be honest, my expectations were so low that I didn't even know if he wanted a relationship. And so I think that it was just my way of like, whatever happens, I don't know. And that we would kind of argue about that in the beginning. But then, you know, we work things out, and, you know, him and I are both very like strong-headed, hard-headed, some might say. Us together, like communicating, has been way more difficult than Melanie and him communicating. Because Melanie, now don't mess this up. Girl, if you're watching this, you know what's true. She can be hard-headed too, okay? Like, we both have the same mom, and my mom's hard-headed too. But me and my dad are so similar that, like, there's no convincing him and there's no convincing me. Thanksgiving, a couple months after we first made contact, is our first time going to meet him. And my first time meeting him, I don't think went over how I always imagined it to go over. I was very defensive. I was very defensive of myself and very defensive over my sister. So when we met, like if he'd say something maybe sideways, I'd be, I don't know if I can say I regret that, because like I almost felt like I couldn't control it. I love to resolve things. I like to work things out. Let's move on. Let's just, you know, let's talk about it. 100%. I was not having it that day, apparently. We met him alone, like me, Melanie, and him. We went out and got like coffee or something. And then a little while later, we all met at his house, and he cooked days in advance. And let me tell y'all, that was some food. I got my to-go, my styrofoam. We took some food back to Missouri, from Detroit to Missouri. Like, we were not playing around. I was not playing around. That food was good. Basically, we showed up, and it was very overwhelming to meet everybody, and everybody, oh my gosh, I remember you. And when I was like 6 months old, and I was like, I don't know who you are, but you cute. It was one of the biggest parties, which again, I'm a big party thrower, so it was kind of cool watching him do his thing. There was about 10 different pies, cakes there, pans and pans of fried chicken, containers of greens, mac and cheese. Oh my gosh, it was so good. And it was just, everybody came. Everybody showed up, and like the house was packed. I couldn't hear nothing, and you know, we were just hanging out, and everybody came to meet us. And let me tell you, I must have been smiling for like a week after that. It was great. I loved meeting the other side of my family, and then I got to meet up with my cousin Elena and her son Delano, and that was amazing. Like, everybody was just amazing. That was, you know, our first time meeting face to face, which again is a couple months after we actually like had our first phone call. Since then, He has come to Kansas City to visit us. That was a little stressful just because, like, you know, this is me and Melanie's space. It's the community we've built together. And I think we were just like, whoo, like, yeah, it was just a little stressful. But, you know, we did it. It was good. Where I'm at right now is, it seems to be like, I don't know. I don't think that he might want the same type of relationship that I had previously wanted. And that's totally okay. Like I said, like in the last video, I'm 22 years old. I've lived my whole life without him. I do want him in my life, but it isn't really reciprocated as much. And so that's kind of been a really painful thing that I've been walking through, because he is like that with my sister. You know, talks to her, stuff like that, but doesn't really talk to me. And that was really hard to kind of move forward. And that's hard to work out with my sister too. We stand with each other. That's first and foremost. But I'm not like, you know, just because things don't work for me doesn't mean they can't work for you. It's been hard. This has probably been the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. Hardest thing I've ever walked through. But let me tell you, oh, I gotta shout you out. My little cousin, she is just the cutest thing I have ever seen in my life. That girl can sing, okay? That girl can sing. We follow each other on Instagram, and every time she posts something, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just love her so much. But everybody's so talented on that side of my family. So talented, funny, just family. I don't know what to tell you. They're crazy too. They crazy. They crazy just like me and Melanie crazy. And it was just real crazy just seeing all those characteristics that me and Melanie possess, and that, like, I might have felt not out of place in my mom's side of the family, but, you know, different for sure. Like, and I realized I get it from my dad. And it's just crazy how, like, just genetics play into those things. With me not even meeting him, I have so many characteristics from him. I think I did pretty good wrapping all this up. So, you know, like, subscribe, share, you know, whatever you do at these little things, videos, and, you know, whatever. So, bye.